Choose your characters. Dweavis. Whether you like it or not, Dweavis is here to fight. Player 1 ready. Madcap.
Prepare yourself to be crushed to dust.
Player 2 ready. Match set. Fight.
I actually don't know the controls. I probably should have looked first. The game basically froze up there for a little while. I don't know what happened. Why the hell is there a swing set inside the building? Okay, alright. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that was obviously your swing set. I didn't mean to make fun of it. I forgot to record fraps. Damn it!
Booted, loaded, and ready to play. This is
Bits.
Hello and welcome to Bits. This is the podcast for gamers by gamers, where we are going to go over whatever's kind of interesting in the world, maybe super interesting, any kind of news, and if there's anything we've been playing that's worth talking about, this is where you'll hear about it. So I am your player 2, Madcap, and joining me is my co-op buddy, Dweavis.
Hi there, everybody.
All right, so this is, I believe, if we were discussing correctly, Bits 147. So welcome to this episode, and it's part of the whole Bits and Flicks universe. This should be the first, hopefully, actual live stream that ends up on the channel officially, which is kind of exciting for us. But we've made a couple attempts, and I think the channel is pretty well set now. So that's nice to get everything finally going. But today, we're going to be doing bits, and we've got not a whole lot of really, I guess, super crazy news. We're still kind of in this weird E3 kind of unknown territory. We had the Nintendo Direct, we have the Sony State of Play, but other than that, it's kind of just news as per usual. I don't think a whole lot of really earth-shattering stuff came out of either of those that I had seen.
No, there's 3 new... You're wrong. There are 3 new colors of the PlayStation 5 coming out.
Oh, right. I think I saw that.
Yes.
Is that the whole, what were they called? Like Underground or Earth, whatever they're...
Their Earth Collection or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, which is basically red, blue, and silver, I think. 'Cause they already, the standard system's already white. So...
Like we've never seen red and blue before.
It was just funny because like the graphics they used was like the controller is being covered in molten lava, and it's like ooh, what's this gonna be? And it just comes out red. I'm like, what? Come on, you can't show me molten lava and then give me red. Like whatever.
It's kind of funny that like a standard color is being played up like some super amazing, groundbreaking thing. Like,
Yeah, like honestly, I would thought it was just going to be different kind of controllers because that's the thing that they do. But then when they showed the whole system, I was like, oh, okay, it's a whole system. Like, who's going to go out and buy a whole new PlayStation 5 to get red or blue?
I don't know. I guess it's more tailored for people who don't own it yet. It's kind of like Nintendo back in the day, all the different colors of their Game Boys and stuff. It's kind of like a way to keep it fresh. So that, I don't have one yet, but ooh, blue's out. Now I kind of want one. Because I didn't want it when it was just gray. So, I suppose that's one way to look at it, but I don't know. I guess it's kind of the same argument as, slimmer consoles, the Switch OLED, stuff like that. It's like, if you already own it, why theoretically would you go out and buy it again?
Yeah, that's true. Like, the only time I ever bought another console was when my other one died, which, it's mostly Xbox.
Mostly Xbox. Yeah, you went through a few of those. I remember that.
I went through like 6 different 360s.
And you loved them all.
To their credit, the last one I got is still sitting on the shelf back there behind me, and it still works perfectly fine.
Man,
so
you're lucky.
6 tries, but I got a good one finally. Remember, I had the Microsoft like customer service on speed dial on my phone. I had it saved in my phone. That's how often I had to call them.
That's so sad. It's like, one of these days you'll turn it on, whether it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now, it'll do the red rings.
No,
And you go,
I'm playing it right now. I'm not going to talk about it the game I'm playing on it right now, but I am playing it right now for my Halloween fall season on my channel. So
oh, there you go.
yeah.
You should have kept one of your red rings just so, like as a museum piece. You could just leave it on with the red rings on.
God.
I mean, I consider that part of the 360 console cycle.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
the red ring and then the 360.
The
They're
red
two
ring
different
is,
consoles.
Yeah, the red ring is an iconic thing. The red ring is the Xbox's version of Nintendo blowing in the cartridge.
Right, or the Windows blue screen of death.
There you go.
Those-
Which still happens to this day.
Yeah, but they put like a sad face, so you feel better about it now.
Yeah, okay.
It makes it better.
I'm surprised they never tried to rebrand the blue screen of death into something else to make it different or something.
Yeah.
It's interesting that they've never tried to rebrand that.
It's a little bit odd, right?
Yeah. He's like all trying to make you feel better about things going wrong.
Right, yeah, that's always fun. Well, let's see. Since you've already brought the console controls into it, we might as well mention some of the other PlayStation stuff for the State of Play. I think probably the biggest thing to come out of that was the PlayStation Portal, that whole remote player rubbish nonsense that they're trying to, I don't know what they're doing, copy the Switch sort of in a way.
Yeah.
That now has a price and a date, November for $200, which I believe is right where I was saying they had to put it, right? You cannot make it more than $200, I believe is what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently they listen to podcasts, so that's good. They took my advice.
Somebody listens to us.
Yes, and it's Sony of all people. Great. That's fun. I don't know.
I don't really have anything to say about it.
This isn't going to work. Who and why would you buy this for $200?
The same people that would buy a brand new PlayStation 5 just for a different color.
I guess, yeah. I mean, there's stupid people like me who buy the Switch OLED, but for me, that actually at least had some value because I play it in handheld mode most of the time.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you do with this.
I don't either.
Because I feel like anybody who's buying a PlayStation 5 isn't going, boy, I wish I could take my screen around and go over here and there. They want to play it on their 80-inch TV, whatever they're doing.
Well, the funny thing is they already had this, didn't they? This is what the PSP was.
Yeah, and the PSP Vita?
Yeah, because you were able to connect and play your console games on it, right? I believe.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
There were some weird functions like that.
Yeah, they already had
It's like
this.
the streaming thing.
Yeah, so it's really weird. It's like you said. It's like Sony is trying to, as often this happens, mimic what Nintendo did. Because they mimicked what Nintendo did with their PSP, and kind of put their own little spin on it, trying to make it into a media thing. And now they're trying to do the same thing again, but once again, they always just kind of slightly miss the mark, I think.
I would say so, yeah.
Of how to do it correctly, I think. Like at this point, they should have just brought back the PSP.
Probably, yeah.
Like even though like the handheld market is basically dead, like as far as traditional gaming goes, but still, I don't know.
Yeah, and I just looked it up, current prices, at least for USD in the America regions. They're pricing themselves at the Nintendo Switch Lite, which is also $200. So I guess that's their target competitor.
Okay. Whatever.
I don't know. I don't know who buys this or why. I think it dies. I think it goes away. But we'll see what happens. I don't know if there's really much else to talk about with it, so it's kind of boring.
Like I said, I have nothing to say about that thing. It's like the most uninteresting thing to talk about.
Exactly, yeah. So that's really, I mean, there was a bunch of random stuff. I think there was like 19 different Final Fantasy news articles. But
the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Right?
I still challenge somebody to tell me how the hell you order Final Fantasy VII Remake. What part are we? Is this part 2 of 12? Is it part 3? What are we on?
I believe this is the official part 2. Now,
wow, it took like 5 years, didn't it?
Well, we said originally, right, that they're going to release one each new console generation.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's hard to believe it, but we're already what, like 3 years into the PlayStation 5,
something like
right?
that.
Yeah. So this is right about average, like because I forget what the date was. Was it this year or next year?
Oh, I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I'm gonna say next year. Um, and like that will put us near almost 4 years. We're right at the heart of the console. If Sony is going to release the PlayStation 6, which I still say isn't going to happen, um, then they're right on track for whatever the part 3 is going to be for the next console generation.
Yeah, we're pretty much already set for a remastering of it. For like the
Oh,
PlayStation 7, they'll be get all Final Fantasy 7 Part 1, 2, 3, 4 together.
wouldn't that be amazing to remaster the remakes?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. As soon as the last part comes out, they'll be ready to cycle back to a remaster of the first one because it's already old. PS4, PS5.
We haven't had a remake of a remake yet, right? That hasn't happened yet.
No, I mean technically, maybe you had the original Pokemon Red, Yellow, Blue, Green, and then you had Fire Red, Leaf Green, and then technically you had Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, those weren't legitimate remakes, but
What is peak absurdity when it comes to this stuff? Is it a remake of a remake? Is it a remake of a remaster? Is it a
ooh,
remaster of a remake? Like
hmm.
like where do people finally kind of throw their hands up in the air and be like, enough of this nonsense?
I don't know. Maybe never. it's. I guess if it's a beloved game, they're gonna try and keep it alive as long as possible. I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like this is just absurd. Everything with this franchise is absurd.
Yeah. I.
Which is even funnier is like they basically have stopped making traditional Final Fantasy games as they dole these things out. Like everybody got what they wanted finally. They got their Final Fantasy remake, and it's so preoccupied Square that Square is unable to make actual new Final Fantasy games anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we just have what 16 that just came out.
Is it? I don't even know anymore. I do not. I guess that's true. Well, just came out. I think there was one that came out on PlayStation 4. I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think they've had a new one since that one.
Oh, let's see. I don't remember. I live that kind of stuff in the PC world, so things that are new to me are often not fully new. Uh,
Uh,
let's
because
see.
I think that's the one you could drive around in a car and
No, that
stuff
was
like that.
15.
Was that 15?
Yeah, you're one behind. June
Uh,
22nd, 2023
really?
was
There
Final
was one.
Fantasy 16.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I consider myself corrected. I had no idea that came out.
I was like, I'm pretty sure this just came out, but
Oh my God. Okay.
I don't even know. Well, I don't know that I'd call recent Final Fantasy games since what 12 traditional Final Fantasy games. 12 was kind of
Well,
like the turning point where it was all open world action, run and gun stuff, right?
yeah,
Like hybrid.
yeah. And then I don't even remember what 13 was. 14 was an
Was
MMO.
was 13 Lightning? Was that where she came in? The Lightning
Oh,
games?
yeah, I think you're right.
And then 15 was the car one.
Yeah,
16 is I don't know.
God,
But yes, 14 was the MMO. 11 to
whatever.
14.
Clearly, clearly, people out there still buy these things. So,
Yeah, I'm sure it's not terrible, right? Maybe.
no, no. I mean, there's worse things out there, right? This isn't like the next Madden or something.
Ugh.
So at least it's an actual game.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna go play it just for you now, so I can tell you on the next bits
Oh, thank you.
if Final Fantasy 16 is a good game.
Oh my goodness.
Like I don't have enough other stuff preoccupying my time.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Did you have anything else from the PlayStation State of Play of interest to you?
I just have some quick thoughts on some of the other stuff they showed there. I guess the other big one, according to them, was the new Spider-Man game. I was just kind of meh
Yeah.
through that.
Isn't
I
that
was
just
like,
the same engine? They're just
yeah,
throwing
it
new
seems
stuff in
like
it.
it. And then once again, like it's not to disparage the people making the game or the game itself. It's just that it lacks anything that has any interest for me in it. Like
Right.
that's really it. Clearly, it looks like a well-made game. I just don't care. I just don't care. Like that's, but Um, then they had a game on there from the Avatar movies. Uh,
not the Avatar, the Last Airbender, the
no, no,
movie
no, no, no,
movies.
no. The James Cameron movies, the ones
Uh,
with the water planet and all that stuff.
right.
Um, I kind of had the same reaction to the game that they showed that I did the movies, which is that it looks really pretty, it looks well made, but I just am not invested in that world enough to care.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
clearly, like the game looked actually really good visually speaking. But unless you're like one of those, unless you're like an Avatar LARPer, who wants to go around and just live the life of a Na'vi, like I don't know who all is gonna look at this game and go like, finally, I get to be in Pandora. Yes. I honestly,
Don't
I
know.
just don't. I just don't. I don't know where the fan base is for this game. But who knows? Maybe it'll sell well. Maybe it'll prove me wrong. I have no idea. Um, Then they had announcement of Resident Evil 4 remake DLC, which isn't
Yeah.
anything new. It's the DLC from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah,
The
the Ada
separate
Wong.
ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the same thing from there. So it is remade that, and I think they also put a little tease at the end there that Mercenaries is coming, which is crazy because I was like, I just assumed that Mercenaries was already with the game
No, man, that's DLC
because
now.
it came out with the original game. Now, to be fair, they said it's free, so it's like a
Right.
free download. I'm like, okay, whatever. You guys couldn't finish it before the release.
Yeah, it's just
Sure.
another example of a game that's coming out unfinished.
Yeah,
I think it's just a thing now where you can go, ooh, look, more stuff is coming.
because I mean,
Yeah.
from what I understand, this game is a little bit shorter than the original game. So not only did they release a shorter game, but they also took out content from it that the original had. And it's like, okay, guys. Um,
I'm still going to buy that and play it.
and
I
then they had,
promise.
oh, thank you. I'll try to get it at some point or another when I figure out my crashing issues again.
Halloween
Um,
sale. Watch for it.
okay. Then there was two other ones real quick. Ghostbusters VR, which looked as uninteresting as possible for me for a Ghostbusters fan, coming from a Ghostbusters fan, I should say. Um, it looked like they were taking the aesthetics from that 2016 remake that everybody loathed. I don't know why they're going that direction with it, but sure, whatever. Is Ghostbusters a good property for VR? I would say yes.
I would think
Is
so, yeah.
is this the game for it? I don't know. I don't know. I it 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 did not lure me in. Let me put it that way. I'm not, huge on VR in the first place, but this does nothing to win me over on it. Um and then lastly, the game they started the state of play with was a very strange game called Baby Steps,
I don't
which
remember
I,
that
I
one.
encourage anybody just to go watch the trailer for it. This isn't to like say like you're gonna want to buy this game when it comes out. It's just an example of some very bizarre like design. It's a very bizarre design decisions in this game, and I'm not necessarily saying that's bad. It's clearly an indie game, which we get most of our innovation from anymore in the game industry is from the indie scene. Um, but I laughed during the trailer, and I think that's the intention. I think it's supposed to be funny. And I can't even properly explain it other than it looks like you're guiding your character down paths that are like fraught with peril. But the way you control your character looks very awkward. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, check out the trailer yourself. It's pretty funny, especially the commentary the character is giving as you're trying to control him. So
Yeah, it looks. It just looks like another one of those games that's meant to go viral. There's a lot of games like this
yes,
where it's like you have
yes.
to control the legs separately with different letters of
Oh
the
yeah.
keyboard
This this
and
is this is like the new goat simulator is what they're going for.
yeah, I've seen stuff like this where each leg and arm and hand is like controlled differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is
But like I
no.
said, it looks funny. So yeah,
That's what it's going for. Yeah.
to your point,
Yep.
you're going to see a lot of live streamers out there
Mhm.
playing this thing.
Yeah, oh look, he's trying to kick over a rock pile. I like how the developer is just a bunch of names
Oh yeah.
on Steam. It's the publisher's Devolver Digital. I mean,
Oh, we love Devolver.
Yes, Devolver is definitely a good company, but the developer's just a bunch of names. I've never seen that on Steam before. There's no company name. It's just
That's
people.
funny. Maybe that is the company name.
Oh, maybe like a lawyer,
Yeah.
like David and David LLC.
Yes. David and David.
Jeez. Yeah, no, this is a viral, quick YouTube cash grab. It looks like.
Hey, at least it looks fun. Like it, like I said, like the commentary of your main character. I think they seem to do a really good job on that. It just looked really ridiculous. So if that's what they're going for, mission accomplished.
Yep, they'll be the talk of YouTube for at the least next what 2 months,
It's
month or two maybe.
it's the new I am bread.
Uh, not for me, no thanks.
So, but yeah, not much else from there. Pretty underwhelming, all things considered. Especially considering, like we said, the PlayStation 5 is kind of reaching its peak. Like this is where a console would normally be thriving in its third year, right?
Thriving. Yeah,
I
this
mean,
is not these consoles.
yeah, that's the crazy part. Like these are their big announcements leading into the holiday season.
It's a little bit scary, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's kind of unheard of. I can't think of anything. Like, oh my God, you waiting? Can you wait for that December whatever Pokemon game or I don't know. There's
yeah,
nothing.
yeah. It's nuts. It's nuts. So I don't know, but hey, anybody out there that has PlayStation 5, I guess you got a really pretty Avatar game coming. So cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. There's probably some very loyal PlayStation 5 people out there, and I don't mean to disparage you at all, but like watching this stuff makes me very happy that I didn't drop my hard-earned cash on the system.
I think you should disparage them. I think you
No,
should fully disparage them.
no, no. I'll tell you, I'm holding out for a polka dot PlayStation 5 system. That's what I want. Polka
And it's
dots.
slim, right?
And it's slim with half the features removed.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know. I I mean, I guess to kind of put a little extra story to that one, I wasn't going to insert this here, but apparently because of Starfield, I saw some random story that said the Xbox Series X sales seem to have jumped over 1,000%. Yeah, because you can only get it on the Xbox and Windows. So people are going
Mm.
out and buying the Xbox Series X, which is another dead console that nobody ever talks about. But that's
Well,
crazy.
to shift just real quick here, something I was just thinking about as you were talking about that, and about the PlayStation 5 library or lack thereof. Um, do you think some of the lack of interest, I clearly they've sold, people bought them, people are playing them, but I'm wondering, like, from maybe from my perspective, like the lack of interest is the whole like forcing people to go digital with their games, because there's something about buying a console or going to a store and seeing the console you want to buy there, and you see the whole library of games that exist for it off to the side, right?
Right.
Like you still kind of see that with the Switch, even though they're kind of falling into the digital only realm as well. Um, but when I see the console there and I look to the games, and the games are what sells you on the console. The console isn't meant to sell you on the games. Um, that to me is another reason why the idea of these systems doesn't sit well with me, or why I have no interest in buying them, is because the fact that I can't visually see what I'd get with the purchase. It's the
Right.
same problem I kind of have like if you see like the VR headsets at stores, right? Since all their games are digital only, they have no physical media. So there's a headset they want to sell you. You don't know what you're getting with it.
Yeah. Right. Yep.
Like it's like, well, wait a minute, I'm buying this thing, but what am I buying it for? Oh, you're buying it for the experience of VR. Not You're not buying it for a particular game. And that's the kind of the the I don't know, the hurdle that, or the lexicon that we're crossing here, or something like the Rubicon, maybe is the better word, is that we're crossing here is this idea that you're buying these systems based off of the hardware and not the software anymore. And
Right.
I'm curious, like if somebody came out with a system and went all physical media again, if that was even be a possible thing, if that would see more success than these digital ones. So I don't
That's
know.
a good question. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you're definitely right in that regard. It's something where it's kind of like buying Netflix in a box. You buy a box, you boot it up, and it's like, here's 62,000 things you could do. How many games could you play? It's like, well, I don't know. What do I want to do? Whereas
Hmm.
before, and clearly, I mean, to your point, assuming that stat is correct, it works. It's like, okay, Starfield's coming. I need an Xbox. Not, I'm
Hmm.
going to get an Xbox. And what am I going to play?
Yeah.
Because nobody's really talking about the Xbox Series X. But
Nope.
now all of a sudden, Starfield's coming out. Guess where you can only get it? The
Yeah.
Xbox.
Yeah.
And what happens? Xbox sales go up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exactly like you said. Like with Netflix, it's like, oh, I want to watch this show. Oh, I got to get Netflix to watch this show. It's not, I'm gonna get Netflix. Okay, now what I'm gonna watch on it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe somebody does that where they're like, I'm
Yeah.
just going to subscribe to Netflix and
Yeah.
watch something that's
There,
in there.
there's probably people that do that, but I'm gonna say the people that buy a console based on the game are gonna be your more likely recurring consumer
Right.
than the person that buys something not knowing what the heck they're getting it for.
Yeah. I'd say that and then the fanboys who would buy
Yeah,
a PlayStation just because they've always bought the
and
PlayStation.
they'll play anything on there,
Yeah,
on it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
So,
mean, as much as people hate it, which I don't understand, it's really kind of an irrational thought process, but it worked. Why do you think Microsoft bought Bethesda?
mm,
It's like Nintendo. Guess where you can only get Pokemon, Zelda, Mario? That's why Nintendo consoles sell. That's
well,
why you have this is a thing which I think people have gotten stupid about is that was the thing with consoles. Where could you only get Halo?
hmm
It was the Xbox, and then that died out. It's like we were talking. I think was it the PlayStation 5? I think it was. Where are the exclusive IPs?
yeah,
What Sony's lost all of their IPs. It
yeah.
used to be like the Ace Combats, the Ratchet and Clanks,
Well,
all that stuff.
I'll say they still have some, but they're not high profile enough to bring people in to purchase the system. Like,
Right.
they had I think one of the first exclusives I think they had to the system. I could be wrong. Was the new God of War that may have been on PS4 as well. I'm not 100% sure
Maybe.
about that. But yeah, I can't think of something that's exclusive to the PS5.
But it seemed like back in the day, like around what PS3 and before, maybe there was exclusives everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's the market has definitely dried up, and it's
Yeah.
from all these acquisitions of companies, Microsoft trying to buy everybody. You know, just it's so muddled, basically. Like it really kind of strains your brain a bit to even try to figure out like what games are currently out there and then where you can find them at. It's just I don't know. It's because it is like the streaming market. To go Flix guy for a second here again, where they've oversaturated the market with like this sort of stuff, and they've made it far more confusing than it ever needed to be.
Right.
You used to be able to just see the thing on the shelf and get it. Be it a movie, a TV show, or a video game,
Yeah.
and they're consistently making this more and more complicated. And I think the younger generation is more in tune with it, but they are excluding a significant portion of the industry, of their consumer base for the industry, by doing this,
Yeah.
which is the older generations.
Yeah. It's really weird too, because again, this isn't something I dwelled a lot on. So maybe whether it's true or not, I don't know. But I saw some little headline go by that I don't know if it was multiple people or whatever, but it's like fans want God of War dev fired for playing Starfield because they're so angry that the Bethesda game's not on the PlayStation, and oh, God forbid somebody on the God of War team wants to play it. He should be fired for that. And this blasphemy. And it's like, really? That's the way people think nowadays? I don't know. It's very
Hey,
bizarre.
well, we should probably move on to Nintendo.
Well, fortunately, there's nothing to talk about there either. So
What?
here's the. I mean, we just had a Nintendo Direct not too long ago, and this is all rehashing of that, basically. So here's the things to take away. There's a lot of remasters, a lot of remakes. That's pretty much all I saw. I skipped through most of it. Probably the biggest takeaway was Princess Peach, which I'll mention in a second. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is getting remastered. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is getting remastered. For anybody who cares, Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3 is remastered. But I think the big takeaway from that is definitely the Princess Peach game, because that's a new IP. Well, not IP, but it's the only second Princess Peach game.
Yeah.
I think I like the direction they're going with it. I don't really understand the gameplay loop, like the flow
Yeah.
of it. I was like, oh, this is cool. She has different outfits, it's different scenes. But the more they went into it, I'm like, well, what do you play? It's like, this one is a rhythm game, and this one is this, and that one's this. I'm like, is there a platformer here, or is it just a bunch of mini games essentially?
Yeah.
So,
I completely agree with you. Yeah, the flow of it is a bit unknown. Like,
right,
yeah, it's like when you're detective, is it like you're in a world? Like,
right,
is it stage 1, detective world? Stage 2, Princess Peach as a pastry chef.
right,
Is stage 3, kung fu? Like, is that how they do it, or are these suits you get in and out of like Mario?
right. It seems like stages to me, because
Okay.
they made it seem like set pieces,
Okay.
like different movie sets. So I don't know. It's not something I'm going to be picking up, but it looks interesting.
I wouldn't mind picking that up. I think it looks fun. And like you said, like, yeah, it's in the Mario universe, but at least it's a game where you're not playing Mario.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like, hey, cool. We have other characters we can make games
right.
for. Still waiting for that Daisy game. But
No, nobody's waiting for that.
what? How dare
Daisy.
you?
No,
How dare you?
nobody wants that. I'm
How
sorry.
how dare you? Don't disparage the redheads. Um,
Oh man.
yeah. Nothing else jumped out at you in that thing, huh?
Not really.
Mm.
But like I said, most of it seemed like it was from the previous direct, just a little bit more info.
That the Tomb Raider remake's going to be fun because people are going to play that game and like, much like the original Resident Evil, they're like, I can imagine the reaction being, how the hell does anybody even play these remakes? Because the controls in those original Tomb Raider games is absurdly terrible, and
Oh.
at the time they were fine. Like,
Oh, of course, right.
you kind of like accepted them because you were like more enthralled, like, ooh, a 3D
Well,
world.
you didn't know better. There was
Yeah,
nothing else.
yeah. Because the important thing to note is, unless they went back and revamped the controls, which I don't think they would, because that would not make it true to the original game. But maybe they
Well,
did.
they have to go in and censor it. Don't forget,
Oh my gosh.
because you can't remaster or re-release anything without censoring it first.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Is that there was those games were made with no analog sticks. So
Yes.
so you had to use the D-pad
Oh
in a
man.
3D world D-pad. So
Yeah, that's going back.
I don't know how maybe they incorporated analog controls, maybe, but I don't know. So that'd be kind of fun to see reactions to that. And then the other one, I guess I don't think this is unknown, right? The new F-Zero game. Like, I think
Oh yeah, I
we'd
guess
heard about that before.
I don't remember hearing about it, but I glossed so fast over that.
Well,
That has to be the biggest troll ever. I saw that, I'm like, oh man, are they finally doing a new F-Zero?
that's what I thought too. I saw that in their directory, their timeline, and I was like, oh, F-Zero. And then when I looked at it, and it was like 16-bit graphics. Like, oh, is this going to be one of those fade into the new cool looking one? It's
Right.
like, no. It's like, okay, so they're making a retro sequel. I'm like, okay. I mean, we'd seen that before with like Mega Man and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm into that. But no, when they uttered the two words that make me run further away from a game than anything else can, when I heard F-Zero Battle Royale,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
bye.
That's when I started hitting the arrow key through the video. I guess 99 is becoming their thing. That's you get 99 people in, and whoever's left. I don't know. That had to be one of the most disappointing things for F-Zero fans ever. I thought the same thing. I thought, okay, they're going to fade into a new game, and then when it started going to the smoother graphics, I'm okay, they're remastering the original one and re-releasing it, and then they showed a bunch of cars on screen. I'm like, oh crap! And they said Battle Royale, and yep, that's when I was done. God, F-Zero 99. And everybody's gonna love it, which is the worst part because that's what people want nowadays. So
It's terrible.
it's awful.
What they could have done was they could have announced, and once again, remakes and remasters. I know we talk crap on them, but I wouldn't mind a remaster or a remake of the GameCube F-Zero, which is I
That's
think is
probably
what
the one. Yeah.
that one's kind of been lost to time. Like most people don't
Right.
even know that game existed, and that game was amazing. That was like
Yeah.
such a good racing game,
Right.
F-Zero or not. And it's just been lost. And like it's like why not bring that back instead of this thing?
You know the saddest part talking about that is that kind of era just seems to be lost to
Yeah.
Nintendo. It's like where F-Zero is kind of in the same boat as Star Fox, where
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like, what happened to it? Where did it go? And then, like, to your point, with all these remasters and remakes that we're getting, why have we never gotten like a Star Fox 64 remaster?
Oh, that's true.
Where's the Ocarina of Time remake remaster? Maybe they're respecting the franchise and saying, hey, I mean, I know we got the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time. That's
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
maybe they actually understand that we don't want to touch Super Mario 64 Ocarina of Time because that's just something you don't touch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's really weird.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, overall, like Nintendo Direct, I was pretty underwhelmed by it.
Which, see, here's the thing to me, being a Nintendo Direct connoisseur of so many years now, that's fine. I expect it because they release it regularly.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't some state of play like this is our one thing throughout the year where everything's coming this day. It's like this. It's the Direct. I don't expect big things all the time.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. It's either updates to previous games, maybe that last little segment they introduce something new and cool. But yeah, I don't. It's what it is. So
Mm.
yeah, I just watch them. I have fun. Sometimes you see something like, oh, cool, I'd forgotten about that, and I guess that's coming out now. It has a release date, or there's more footage of it.
Yeah, I usually look at their description in their video just to see what the games are, and just click on the ones that interest me.
I still do it blind. I hide my hand
Oh.
in front of my eyes like a loser.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I always try to avoid the thumbnails too, because Nintendo breaks out all the different games into separate videos.
Oh yeah.
And so I hate typing Nintendo Direct, and then all these come up like brand new Zelda Ocarina of Time remake announced. I want to be in there in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. Like I said, it's a stupid way to live life, but you know, it is what it is.
To each their own.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for being kind to me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm a kind person.
You know who's not a kind person?
Who?
EA.
Mm.
If you want to start talking about F-Zero 99, I swear, is EA just completely oblivious to the world? Is that just their thing? Are they just dumb from the top down? I don't get it. Here we are again. They announced a new Command & Conquer game for the iPhone and Android. Oh, by the way, it has a closed beta test in case you're interested in beta testing a cell phone game. Like, where? just don't understand. We haven't had a Command and Conquer game. And then I remember a lot of the backlash that came from the Command and Conquer's Generals announcement.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God, they're remaking Command and Conquer Generals for mobile. And it's like, here we are again. Who's playing this and why? Stop it. Please stop.
For the love of God, stop playing this game.
I mean, not that I have any faith in EA ever anyways, but I don't get it. And the worst part is, at this point, even if they announced a Command & Conquer PC game, I wouldn't buy it because I don't trust them. And there's one, I'm looking at my Steam wishlist here right now. There's a game called Tempest Rising coming that's, I think it might be ex-Westwood developers. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember. But it's going after the Command & Conquer Generals look, feel, gameplay, all of that. And it looks amazing. So EA's already out of the boat. Somebody else is doing it now. So goodbye. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't either.
It's so weird. But yeah, that's bizarre. And you know what else is bizarre? Ubisoft.
Oh, we're just going down the list here.
This one's funny. This isn't something I really need to talk about, but I just thought this was hilarious. Apparently, there's a new Assassin's Creed coming. Go figure, right? Another one.
Oh, Mirage, I think.
Jade?
Oh, is it Jade? I thought it was Mirage. Oh.
I don't know. But the weird thing I saw in this, because I don't follow Assassin's Creed, is that I guess the name was called Assassin's Creed and the code name was Jade.
Oh.
And now that it's coming out, it's been revealed that the title is Assassin's Creed Jade. I'm like,
They just really like that code name.
why was that the code name?
Hey, that is the most amazing thing ever.
Surprise!
It's like you put out the code name, and people ignore it because they're like, "Oh, that's just a code name."
Right.
And they're like, "Ha, we tricked you. It's the actual name."
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was because it was like supposed to. The full title was Codename Jade, and they shortened it. But I just, whoever did that, I just thought that was funny as a story. It's like,
well, it's also funny because code names are usually used to thwart,
right,
being like in the news or people talking about it, or even people are aware that you're making it.
That's like Zelda never had a name because they were hiding it.
It's like hearing like, okay, if you hear the name Jade, it's like, oh, I don't know what that is. It's Project Jade, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if it's like Super Mario Jade, it's like, well, it's a Super Mario game.
Right.
So why have a code name?
I don't know.
It's Assassin's Creed Jade, like that makes no sense why that would be a code name.
Yeah, it's either because the way I thought of this was either it was a code name because they didn't want to reveal it, or the whole name of the game was Codename Jade. In either case, I just thought it was like bad marketing of a name. I just thought it was funny.
That is hysterical. I would have loved to have been in there with the marketing team on this one.
Yeah.
A fly on the wall to hear their conversation. They're like, what if we just call it Jade?
Yeah. If it was a code name, like for thwarting, like you said, then it's almost like they just got lazy and they're like, man, we already have all this stuff written, and why not? Let's just go with it.
Yeah. Jade is all over the code of the game. Like,
right. Yeah.
We don't want to call it something else and then have everything in the code be Jade. That's just funny.
Yeah. And lastly here, just a smaller story of interest. Charles Martinet, which was the original voice of Mario back in the 64 days, he's finally stepping down from recording the voice lines.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Mamma Mia. So I guess it's Nintendo. They do weird stuff. I guess he's becoming the Mario ambassador now. So he's still going to go to events and like spread the joy of Mario and do whatever. But yeah, I don't know what we're going to get from Mario's voice. Maybe this is their time to finally give him a real voice, because they've definitely been playing with that.
Chris Pratt from the movie.
Could be, yeah. They're definitely going that direction.
Although he might be kind of expensive, but I don't know.
Probably, yeah, for a Nintendo game.
Hmm
That's too much money.
That or just lay down the money and just record everything they need from him. Oh,
Well,
but also like okay, what about digital? Like, can they pay the original voice actor like to just record his voice and they'll just use it forever? That type of thing.
maybe. I don't know. We made that joke a long time ago with Resident Evil.
Hmm
Remember? We're like, how many lines do you think they paid that guy to say Resident Evil 6,
Yeah.
7, 8, and then just give him random like blue, tertiary, like just how many lines did they have him record? Just because. I don't, I don't know. I guess if it's in your contract, come in and say woo Yahoo and yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, maybe put a little more passion into it than that, I guess.
maybe. It depends
Maybe.
if it's like low health Mario.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a moment, I suppose, iconic moment. We'll see what we get next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. You said you've been playing a couple things. I'm kind of interested to hear what you've been doing.
I won't take up too much time with these, because I want to hear what you have to say about Starfield.
Pressure.
I played and have finished 2 of my games that are currently on the channel, I think. First one is I played the next chapter in the Dark Pictures anthology games. The guys that made Until Dawn. This one was called House of Ashes.
Right.
Um, it's an interesting setting for a horror game. It takes place back like in 2004 in Iraq during the war there, when we were running around looking for the WMDs that didn't exist. It uses that as like the backdrop because the characters you control are part of a commando unit that are out looking for the WMDs, and that's how it starts everything. And then eventually you end up like a battle breaks out and you find yourself trapped down in some catacombs underground that is like an ancient temple that has like what look like creatures that are running around basically in that's what presents the danger, and you need to, of course, like all these games, you need to save your characters and make sure that they get out alive. um, I will say out of all 3 of these dark picture games, this is the best one by far.
Wow.
Like story wise, it was interesting. It kept adding new elements as it went on. This is not a one trick pony where you figure out early on what's going on. Um, and it went to some interesting places I was not expecting, but I appreciated that they didn't rest on their laurels when it came to the story that they were telling. Um, the characters in this game were a bit more difficult to like. There was one character who was kind of like he's an Iraqi soldier that worked for Saddam's army, but he's like a reluctant soldier. He didn't want to be in the war. Ends up becoming the most sympathetic character in the game, actually. And I really found his journey to be really. At some point I found him to be the one character I wanted to say the most. Like out of all the characters, the U.S. soldiers, they were fine. They were all fine characters. The only major actor that they had in the game that was their poster child for this one is Ashley Tisdale, who I think most people know from High School Musical movies. And I was like, she was fine. But yeah, how did I do? I think I got 3 of the 5 people out. So if you're interested in who didn't make it, you're gonna have to watch my playthrough on my channel and watch me kill them as I go. Now, that's always the fun of these choose your own adventure games. It's like, oh my god, did the decision I made earlier, is it gonna kill me later? And yeah, lo and behold, some of them did. So. Yeah,
And what's the hook of this one? Like the first one was serial killer type murderer movie, and then the second one was like was it Man from Medan?
yeah, that
Or
was like Ghost Ship.
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
this
and
one? Just soldiery stuff?
this one, well, like I said, that's like the window dressing. This one is like ancient Egyptian temple underground that has some sort of menace. Like, like it's been cursed, more or
Oh, okay.
less.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't say much more than that, otherwise I give away the because there's a bit more to it than that, but that's kind of the setting. So
Okay.
yeah, that game was really fun. I feel like out of all of them, like the Dark Pictures anthology so far, this is the one you should probably play out of those three if you get a chance, because this one was actually really fun. Um, then another one I played is called Gylt. This is Gylt is how it's spelled. Um, this popped up on my radar just because I saw a trailer for it on YouTube, and I was like, I had never heard of this thing before, but it just got released in July, and never no marketing material for it or anything like that. Then I found out that this game was actually released back in 2015. It was a Google Stadia exclusive,
Oh boy.
and it was stuck in that purgatory for like over 7 years
Huh.
until finally they got the ability to release it to everything. Now it's on Steam, it's on all the consoles. um, and I've been looking for a term to coin for these. So there was Sea of Solitude and Lost Words, the most recent one I played, the emotional games. I
Yes.
I I am now, what I've determined is what I'm calling
Uh,
these. I'm coining this term because I've never heard them referred to this before, but this is a genre now. This is what I call a grief simulator,
oh, okay.
where it's a game with basic gameplay mechanics that is masked with this thing about people overcoming a trauma.
Yeah, like a game about this is what it's like to have anxiety.
Yeah.
Stuff
Now,
like that.
the thing is, and I almost feel like I'm already giving that genre a negative connotation, because those type of games, they're a bit too touchy feely for some people, and the fact that they're more about that than the gameplay is a negative. Um, this game was the first one that I've played that actually felt like a real game.
Oh.
It had actually it had enemies. You could attack the enemies. It felt like an actual game. It had stealth mechanics to it, and it's kind of what I've heard to it referred to as, it's like Alan Wake but for kids,
Hmm.
because it's kind of spooky, it's kind of creepy, and atmospheric and whatnot. But it's very lightweight type stuff. So uh my main takeaway from the game is I enjoyed it. I thought the setting and everything was particularly well done. The story they were telling, like the thing that they were trying, like the grief that they were simulating in this one, was about bullies and being bullied. And I feel like for kids, this is probably a worthwhile game to play. Like if you want your kid to play a game, like it's a fun game to play, and I guess it has a worthwhile message in there. But um, I don't think it's something. It anybody else over the age of like 12 is gonna look at this game and go like, yeah, duh, bullies are bad. I get it. It's like that's what this entire thing's about. So the only thing that really kept me going was the aesthetics of it, the atmosphere. Like I think it looks good, it sounds good, really good soundtrack to it, and like I said, the gameplay mechanics actually had mechanics. So I didn't find it too difficult to get through this one, whereas the last one I did, the Lost Words game, was a bit more of a slog for me. So yeah, the funny thing is, this isn't a evolution of this genre. Apparently, this game coming out in 2015, this is like the beginning of this genre. That it
Oh.
just nobody could play unless you had Google Stadia.
uh,
So it's almost like the genre has de-evolved from this into the other things. So
the one
I
where
don't
you're
know.
swimming with dolphins
Yeah,
and saving
yeah.
whales and stuff.
Yeah, basically. Um, it's pretty cheap. Like without any sales, it's like $20. You get about 5, maybe 6 hours of gameplay out of it. I think if you find it on sale, you probably find it on Steam for sale at some point for like $5. It sounds like. Um, uh,
Probably.
Yeah, I think it's worth purchasing. Out of all the ones I've played, I think this one's probably the most worthwhile. Just be prepared that the story that they're telling is not really gonna resonate with you in a way where it's gonna be life altering. So
Hopefully not if you're an adult.
yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
maybe I shouldn't be doing that
I know
stuff.
like 40-year-old be like, oh man, bullying is bad.
I never
First
looked
of
at
all,
it that way.
First of all, congratulations on reaching 40 without understanding that. Somehow you've survived.
Yeah.
But also, like, what are you thinking? Um,
I don't know.
so yeah, like those two I've played and completed and finished them, so I'm happy. I'm more or less happy with those games. House of Ashes is clearly my top pick out of those ones. Um, and lastly, I just started playing it. I'm about halfway through it. I'm replaying Condemned Criminal Origins.
Oh, don't remind me of Monolith.
Yes,
Don't
Monolith.
remind me of
Your boys at
Monolith.
Monolith.
Oh.
I'm playing the PC version of it, and that did not come without its hiccups, of course.
Well, for an
Uh,
old game? Oh yeah, you're gonna.
yeah,
Oh God.
yeah. Apparently the audio file on the Steam version of the game is corrupt, and they never fixed it. So I had to find the original audio and download it and install it on there to fix the audio.
Old
Um,
PC games often have a lot of problems.
Not just that, old PC games that are ports of console games.
Ah, even worse. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Bravo.
But yeah, I got it all worked out, and I'm making my way through it again, and I really like that game. Like it's funny because this is my first time playing it after playing Fear. Because the first time I played it, which was back in like 2007, 2008, whenever the 360 came out, I had never played Fear, so I didn't have that connection. Playing it now, I could see all of the inspirations from Fear in this game now. Of like, this is clearly made by the same people.
Right.
So,
Oh, good Monolith. Now bad and gone Monolith.
but I'm halfway through it. I'm still enjoying it. It's still pretty. It can be a pretty creepy game at times. I don't think it's as effective as Fear, but its setting and the story they're telling is pretty interesting. I think I would argue it's a bit more interesting than Fear. But it's not at the same scare level as Fear. So
It doesn't get under your skin quite as much, probably.
no, but the story I think is far more interesting. So
Wow.
but yeah, I'm playing that again and enjoying it. But yeah, I
Opening
have a
old
lot
wounds.
more. I'm sorry. Yeah, but I have a lot more, but I'll get to those at another show.
Well, now I just want to go play Fear. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Appreciate it, buddy.
You should play Criminal. You should play Condemned. You never played those games.
That's true. I think I tried once. I don't remember why I didn't play through it. I don't remember. Yeah, maybe it was because there was no audio file.
I mean, there was, but it just certain sounds just weren't present. Like there was a scene where you're on a subway car and the subway car had no sound. It was complete silence. It was complete silence, and I was like, okay, there's something wrong here.
Yes, they compiled the audio package wrong.
Yeah. So.
Wow. Okay, man, playing through all those, that was fun. Going through all of them again. Oh well, never be another Fear. That's just the way it is. Ending with that horrible Fear MMO thing. I think I tried that once. I'm like, what are you doing? This is horrifying, and not in a good way.
Nowadays, you'd have a Fear mobile game.
Oh, why'd you gotta do that? Why? Why? Yeah, there'll be like Monolith Returns, and their teaser will be like Fear, just the logo, and then like 2 months later, it'll be coming out on iOS and Android.
Free to play.
Oh God! Get your loot box going. Here we go. Get those gems. Who doesn't love a gem adventure? Yeah, it's over. Just let it die. Fear was good. Now it's gone. Oh man. All right. Well, I guess do we need to talk Starfield?
We need to hear about this thing.
Okay. Well. All right. Starfield is out after much waiting, much anticipation. Much hype. It's Bethesda. Who can fault the excitement for it? Obviously, because their games are fun. Fallout 4, whether you're an old school Fallout fan that hated it, or somebody who really enjoyed it like me who's never played Fallout, their worlds are great. The games are fun. So that's why it was so anticipated. That's why the Xbox is selling thousands of units all of a sudden, and I think it's deserved. But I'm going to start by saying that I feel disappointment. So, from my side, the game has been ultimately disappointing, but more for a specific reason that I don't quite understand. For some reason, and here's another side caveat of this. You know me. You've known me for about 62 years now, I think, roughly, and
63.
okay, so yeah, like maybe 61, 62 years.
Yeah.
I black out games. I'm one of the biggest anti-spoiler people in the world. I hate spoilers. Even it's to the point where I liked the game, I didn't like the game. Because that then to me sets a precedence for, well, shoot, why did he hate the game? And then all of a sudden I'm going to be looking for reasons why, because I like to analyze games. It's what we do. And I think, I don't know, I might have to turn that corner into a new era, because it's losing information that might be valuable to a purchase, and I kind of feel that in today's industry, I can't quite trust people anymore and trust developers to do things, because maybe if I had watched more of the trailers and gameplay, I would have gone into this with better expectations, but since I didn't, I had other expectations for the game that weren't fulfilled. So it might be time, because of the industry we're in, where you can't trust developers anymore, to turn that corner of, well, I'm not going to watch anything else because I want to play the game and experience it fully. So the main problem for me, which is a problem for a lot of people, but also I think probably like a 50-50 split, where some people just don't care, some people do. There's really no space sim in this. You don't fly your ship anywhere.
Oh.
And that, to me, was a startling revelation. I probably would have known that, which is why I'm not going to sit here and gripe on the game for it. That's my own fault. That's on me. If I had watched all the trailers, some of the more extended gameplay videos that they had released later, I probably would have gotten that hint, maybe. But I had to look this up, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 hours into the gameplay, because I kept waiting for it. And I'm like, I just must not be to that part yet, or I haven't gotten that yet, or it's coming. And eventually I'm like, I don't know, this doesn't seem right. And I actually went and Googled, I'm like, Starfield, like in-atmospheric flight. And yeah, there was a whole, Reddit thread. Nope, there's no in-atmospheric flight. There's no flying between planets. There's none of that. And I'm like, okay, crap.
Wow.
That sucks. But much like Tears of the Kingdom, I have since tempered my expectations for the game, now that I'm not sitting there waiting for it anymore. So the basic gist here is, it's one big loading screen of a game, which is super unfortunate. And the way I can explain this is, I feel like most space sim games have, I believe it's probably 4 tiers of flight. You've got push the button and go. You're going like 100 miles an hour, let's say. Great. It's for small flight, wherever, going through things. You have what I would call a boost, where you hit like the shift key, you boost, and then the boost runs out, so you're like going 300 miles an hour maybe. And then you have what I would coin super cruise, which is something like you hit a combination of buttons, it locks you into a fast flight mode, but you can still fly around. So that would say 1,000 miles an hour, 2,000 miles an hour maybe. So you can travel space better. And then you have what most space games would have is your loading screen, which would be equivalent to like a warp or a hyperdrive in, say, like Star Trek or Star Wars. That's where you get the loading screen, and you come into long distances. Because, let's not mince words here, space is vast. If you were to take a spaceship into space here from Earth, it would take you a while to get to the moon. In gameplay terms, nobody wants to do that. That's stupid. You're not going to spend 90 days traveling to the moon in a game because that's real world space lengths. I get that. But in video games, every space game I've played has found a way to shrink the distances a bit and make that more manageable. Freelancer, which I still hold as the golden tier of all space sim games, it was perfectly fluid. You could fly between planets, you could fly around, there was stuff, there was little nebula clouds you could fly into and you'd be kind of almost blind and because it's all dusty and whatnot. You could fly into the sun and blow up. You could fly into the planet and blow up. There was stuff to do. When you had to travel further, you went into a warp gate and it concealed the loading with a warp field like Star Wars where you see the stars flying by. And then there'd be like a slight hiccup where you could tell it finished loading and then it would end the animation and it would pull you into it. So it looked, for all intents and purposes, fluid. It'd be like, 10, 15 seconds of flying, which I think is fine. That's cool looking. And then you'd be there, and you'd be in a new world. And you could travel to any of the stuff there. That, I feel like, is the basic gameplay layer of a space sim. Starfield, the way they work it, is you essentially point your ship somewhere, you click on it, and you tell it go there. And it does a black screen with a little loading circle, and then you're there. So to travel Starfield, if you're in a solar system, you see planets there, you would look at the planet, like turn your ship, because you can fly your ship. It doesn't really go anywhere, but you can fly it. You look at, say, Mars, you hit E on it, and you can either choose one of the pre-designated landing spots or anywhere on the planet to land, and it puts you into loading screen, a black loading screen, and it lands you on the planet, and you're there. That's it. If you want to leave the planet, you take off, it loads you back into space, you tell it, oh, I'd like to fly to that planet, or you pull up your bigger map, like the solar system or the galaxy map, and you say, I want to fly there. Does a loading screen. Okay, now I'm in this solar system. Rinse, repeat. If you're on the planet, you want to go to somewhere else on the planet, you bring up the planetary map, you click, says, okay, loading screen, puts you there. That is how you travel in Starfield. From how I understand it, the planets themselves don't exist. So for anybody hoping that this could be modded, I don't think you can because they've got pre-designated spots you can land because this is part of a story or they created this area. You land there, it puts you in a specific spot that they want. You explore that area. Granted, I've never run into a boundary. There's nothing stopping you. Like, oh, there's a wall. You can't go past that. I've never reached a boundary. But as far as I understand it, if you can spin the planets freely, rotate them and land anywhere you want, but from how I understand it, it generates a tile based on where you are. If you land in an icy area, it generates an icy tile that matches that planet. If you land in a more deserty area, it generates like a deserty tile on that section. They're not real. You can't, as far as I know, fly around the planet. If somebody had the willpower to tape down their W key and walk forever, I don't think you can walk around the planet because it's all individually generated tiles. So it's really weird. And I tested this the other night. I warped into a planet and I looked at it and it's huge. And I looked at it and it said about 7,000 whatever kilometers. I don't remember what they use. I think it's kilometers to the planet. And I'm like, okay, so I put my engines to maximum and nothing was really moving. And then I boosted, and the entire boost that maybe lasts 15, 20, 30 seconds got me 1 kilometer. So this is warping into the planet. It's huge. It's not far away. It's a big thing in your view. Yeah. You can't reasonably fly there. So I don't know. It almost feels to me like they should have just taken the entire ship aspect out. And it's almost like Fallout 4 with, like the guns and stuff, and then you just go to different planets and different areas and worlds.
Quick travel, basically, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Everything's a loading screen. There's a lot of loading screens. And that, to me, was super disappointing because that immediately took out any expectations of, I can't wait to fly, into like a Saturn ring planet, or maybe there'll be a black hole somewhere, or I don't know.
Yeah, just the exploration part
it's
of it.
gone.
It just
Yes.
doesn't exist. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Wow.
And the thing with Bethesda games has always been, we're going to drop you off, and this is your world now. In Skyrim, as soon as you're done with the tutorial and the head getting chopped off, you go do whatever you want. I mean, we've discussed it. I've never finished the story of Skyrim. I couldn't even tell you what it is other than gray people shouting on a mountaintop.
Hmm.
Beyond that, you see something, you go, wow, what is that? What's that cave over there? Ooh, what's that thing? Or, man, this Dark Brotherhood person visited me in the night. Now I want to go see what they're all about.
Yeah.
Here, I don't get that. I'm exploring planets, but I don't feel a value to it. There's nothing there. Anything you see pretty much is auto-generated, like a cave. And that's why I said I'm disappointed, but I feel like I'm still having fun with the game now that I've set my expectations properly. There's been cool things that have happened.
Hmm.
There's fun. The story, I think, is okay. It's not bad. It's fairly story-driven.
Hmm.
And I'm enjoying it. I just feel like I don't know who made that decision and why. I don't get it. Because you look at something like No Man's Sky, and you can fly anywhere. You can fly down on the planet. They've got a well-disguised loading point when you go from space to in-atmosphere,
Hmm.
where it kind of freaks out, glitches, because it has to do all the loading of the planet. But it's still there. And
Yeah.
to not be able to take your ship off and fly somewhere else on the planet and land, I don't know. I feel like and from what I've heard, they've even said, no, we're not giving you vehicles on the planet. You just need to walk. We don't, probably because it's a tile that's generated, and they don't want you traveling fast to, I don't know, where it would repeat, where it would somehow force you back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot to unpack there, because going back to when they even originally announced the game, I think everybody envisioned something completely different than what they've provided.
Yeah, exploring space.
Yeah, it's like when you hear a game, like, you're like, oh, you're going to space, cool. The first thing you have in your mind is like, oh, I'm going to explore space.
Not a planet.
Yeah,
Planets are the thing you go to, but the thing you're exploring is space.
yeah,
Like, ooh, what's that derelict space station over there?
and the fact that it's not even that they didn't deliver on that. It's like you said, it's like whatever, that wasn't clearly in their design. They weren't planning on doing that. But they don't do anything, it sounds like, according to you, in the game to even present like a like how should I put it, like a mirage, like the idea that you're doing it. They're not even trying to trick you into thinking that that's what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, well, the best example of that is I probably would have been a lot more forgiving if the planets were real. If I could land on the planet, I couldn't move my ship, but they gave me like a little moon buggy or something, and you could travel all around the planet continuously, that would have been fine.
I'm gonna go one back further from that. I'm gonna say, like, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, if this does exist, but it sounds like it doesn't. When you're going to these planets, to have a visual representation of the planet from space.
It's there. You can see it.
But like traveling to it, right?
Right.
Like,
There's no.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like a transition from one planet to another, to at least give you the idea that you are going to a different planet. Like
No.
that not existing, I think, is a huge failure.
Yeah, no, it's basically black loading screens with a little spinny circle in the bottom.
Wow.
Even if it's in solar system, like if you were to travel from the moon to Earth, it would show your ship not going to the planet, but it would show your ship kind of going, and then it would turn into a loading screen. And then the inter or extra solar system travel would be like it shows a warp effect come up briefly, like a bending of space, and then it turns into a loading screen.
That's crazy.
It's really weird. And it's funny because like I try to stay away from forums because of all the crap that happens in games now, and all just I don't want any of that.
You mean there's no it's from what I understand, there's nothing but positivity in those.
Yeah, right. But from my brief reading of like a couple Reddit threads and whatnot, it's funny because you get the extreme people who are just like determined to defend something to the death, And they're like, well, something like, I don't remember, I think it was Elite Dangerous maybe. Well, they did that, and have fun setting your warp drive and staring at a pixel for the next 10 hours because they did the real space travel and it's boring. And it's like, well, sure, some games might choose to do that because that's what they're going for, but
Hmm.
there's clearly games that have done an intermediate before it. There's nothing wrong with trying to shrink the distance of space to make the game play perfectly fine. And even if you increase the speeds, you can keep the distances between the planets, but then give your Super Cruise something faster. So it takes maybe 5 minutes to get from Earth to Mars, for example. Most people would be fine with that. And then you can stretch these distances. You can make speed infinite in a video game. You determine something like, okay, if we were going from Mercury all the way to Pluto as a game developer, what's a reasonable expectation for that? 10 minutes, let's say? Would a player put up with 10 minutes of travel from Mercury to Pluto? I think most people would. Because you're hardcore like that, then you would probably put up with that.
Especially if you put something out there to, divert attention or something to.
Well, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
about like when like in Freelancer, right? When we went through the gates to travel, there's chances like pirates show up and try to steal things from you, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yep.
get in a battle. Like things like that help break up the monotony of the travel time as well.
Or just stuff. Like you'd be
Yeah.
traveling at Freelancer and be like, there'd be a gas cloud over there. And you'd go into it, be full of lightning, and then there'd be derelict ships in there that you could loot.
Yeah.
And
I just real quick, just as an idea of like what they could have done to occupy space with stuff to do. Um, I'm going to revert back to a pretty obscure movie that almost nobody listening to this probably ever heard of. It was called Ad Astra. It was a Brad Pitt movie, and it had space travel in it. And that movie, it had a direct storyline, of getting from point A to point B. But in the middle of their travel, they end up coming across a kind of a derelict space station that, it's like, well, what is this thing? And they stop there and they find out that the science crew on there had all been killed by a bunch of rabid monkeys that got loose on the station from some experiment that they were doing in space. And it's like, did that have anything to do with the movie? No. It's just some random stop that they made along the way.
right.
Those are the type of things I think a lot of people might have been expecting with this game. Is it's like you traveling through space and you run into odd things like this,
Yeah.
which is the equivalent of the weird things you find when you're walking through a Skyrim or a Fallout, except it's in a space, it's in outer space. It's the
Right.
same
Yeah.
idea, just a different setting. And that's, I
Exactly.
think, yeah, that's the thing that people. I mean, I can't say for certain because I haven't been following a lot of the reactions to the game, but at least from your perspective, that seems like the thing that you might have been looking towards for here.
Right. Pretty much. Yeah. I I think what makes it worse is that they overcomplicated the flight of the spacecraft. And I'm like, for what purpose? I haven't seen it yet. I think I'm 15 hours into the game, maybe
Mm,
20. I don't know. But it's like you have to individually control pieces of it to
mm,
where it's like, well, you have to put power into your engines. You have, say, 20 power pieces, and then it's weird. You can use the arrow keys or Alt WASD, and you basically switch left and right through them and
mm,
add the little grid bars to it. So, like, if you're going into a fight, you got to make sure you have bars in your lasers and bars in your missiles, and then if you're traveling, you want bars in your engines and your shields. And it's like this live system you're managing. Like, why do I have all this?
mm.
What? Maybe if I was traveling from planet to planet, great. Let's drop all the lasers, put everything into the engine so we can go faster. But I'm not going anywhere, so it's really weird.
Mm.
I reconfigured my ship once, and I'm kind of like, well, I don't really know why I'm doing this other than to get storage space because I'm not
Yeah.
traveling with the ship anywhere. So
Huh.
what's the point? It's it's
Wow.
really bizarre. Like I said, I'm disappointed, but that's not to say that I'm hating the game. I'm still having fun with it. Uh, let's see, I can probably talk for a couple minutes here before we're way over time of some of the other stuff I've seen. The UI, like whoever did the GUI, the UI, all of that stuff, I don't know if there was their first time designing a game
Uh-oh.
or what, but it is a mess. It is a gigantic mess. And I know somebody else that was playing this, and they had the same reaction. Like, do you think it's way too complicated? I'm like, yeah. It's like to bring up your scanner, you push F, but if you want your flashlight, you have to hold F to do it. And the amount of times that's led to confusion with me, like I need my flashlight. Oh crap, I put the scanner up. Hang on. Okay, wait. Hold it. Okay, now the flashlight's up. No, wait, I need to take the flashlight away. Hold it, but I need the scanner. Wait, was I pushing F? And then it's
Wow.
the buttons are insane. Just to do anything simple, if I don't keep playing this game, I'm going to forget how to do anything
Oh man.
in the game.
It sounds
and-
like you need like a printout in front of you or something with all the buttons.
Right. And I'm seeing this more and more in games, and I hate whoever invented it, and I don't know why they did. Holding to do an action is one of the worst things ever. Like if you go into your inventory menu, you've been playing a couple PC games now. If you go into your inventory menu, how do you get out of it? You push escape, right?
Yep.
No. That takes you back in inventory level. So if you hit I, say to go to your inventory, and you hit escape, get me out of the inventory. No, if you hit I and then you hit escape, it takes you back to like, here's your overall screen of everything. And then you hit escape again, it goes, okay, now here's your character screen. And then you hit escape again. Okay, now we're back here. And then you hit escape again. Okay, now we're back in the game. Unless you hold escape. If you hold escape, then that takes you all the way out.
Oh my god.
And that's how everything is in there. It's like if you want to do something, you have to hold the button instead of pushing it. And I don't know. It's a mess. It's a gigantic mess.
Wow.
But beyond that, I have had some cool moments. There's been some fun stuff. They went with for better or worse, I guess, they went with a Borderlands-style loot system. So where you open stuff, you kill a guy. Wow, he had a legendary submachine gun on him. Or a rare, or an ultra, your standard purple,
Okay.
blue, orange stuff. So
Wow.
I thought that was kind of interesting. It doesn't really take away from the game. So that's kind of fun. And there's been a couple moments because, kind of like the other guy I was talking to, I was determined to not do what they wanted me to. So when you end up on the first planet, they're like, okay, go talk to this lady. I'm like, I'm going over there. This is a goddamn planet. I want to explore planets because that's I'm not going over there to that tool shed where you told me to.
Go talk to this woman. F you, I'm out of here.
I just ran in a completely opposite direction.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be funny if like they ever programmed an NPC to come chase after you. It's like, no, wait, you're supposed to talk to me.
Which, in a certain light, not to approve of their barren gameplay mechanics, in a certain light, I kind of appreciate that a lot of the planets just have nothing. There's some resources here and there, but some of the planets, if you go to a moon, it's just dust and dirt and rocks. And it's like, oh, this is boring. I guess I'm leaving because that's what a moon is often. And this isn't a spoiler warning, but kind of a mild, very tame spoiler warning. Apparently, this takes place in our solar system and beyond.
Oh.
So part of the first spot is we need you to travel to the moon, like Earth's moon. And then we need you to travel to Mars and go to the base there. And all the planets and moons exist in our solar system. And this was still early before I had read about the game. I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, I want to go to Saturn. This has been a dream of mine forever. And I went to Saturn and I couldn't fly to it.
Oh.
I couldn't even get to the rings. So I was like, well, there's Saturn. I guess it's neat to look at, just like always. And then I left.
God.
And then I went to a couple of the moons, like Titan, because I watch a lot of space shows and stuff. I'm like, ooh, there's supposed to be an underwater ocean there. I want to see what it looks like. And I went there. I'm like, yeah, it's a barren moon. It's cold. Okay, well, I guess I'm done with this moon.
Wow.
It's funny because they got out of the whole Earth thing by saying that at some point, thousands, millions of years into Earth's future, as will eventually happen someday, the atmosphere kind of disintegrated like Mars did. And so it's just a barren desert. So I landed on there. I landed and tried to land in California just because, and it just looked like a desert of nothing. Because they don't put buildings in there because it's a randomly generated tile of desert. So they got out of people going to Earth and going, man, I'm going to go land in New York and walk around in New York. It's all rock and dust.
Oh.
So, anyways, yeah, that was kind of cool for a split second until it wasn't. But I feel like they've done a good job with some of the gravitational mechanics. I remember complaining in No Man's Sky, you'd be on a planet with like half gravity and you'd jump and then your legs would break. I'm like, but it's low gravity. I'm coming down very slowly. So there's been a lot of fun with that where I can just, it tells you what the gravity of the planet is. So if it's like 0.1, it's kind of fun just to jump and then jump down a huge hole and be safe and fine. And there's been stuff where you can land on a planet and you see things like a building in the distance and you can walk to it. They haven't been super interesting yet, but I have had a couple instances where I ended up at like an abandoned, I guess like a mining facility that had a launch pad in it and everything. And I walked in there. I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. And then all of a sudden, people started shooting at me from all directions because it was being used as a pirate base. And there was like 50 pirates there. And so then I started, like crouching around and shooting everybody and then going deeper in the facility and stealing everything and looting. And I wiped out the whole pirate base. And that was a cool moment. I was like, this is cool. It didn't tell me to go there. I just wandered off. And the guy I talked to had wandered off and found some document that told him about some crazy pirate guy, like an elite pirate person. And he followed that story and got a ship out of it and some interesting pirate gear. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. I never even found that. So that was fun. And just kind of some moments like that that are interesting. The gunplay, I feel like, is pretty good so far. Leveling up is kind of awkward. They made it more difficult than I feel like it should be. For example, to get more stamina, you have to, when you sprint, it uses your oxygen, and then it uses, like, you start breathing CO2 until that's gone, and then you start losing health. And so you have to drain both of those. It's kind of awkward. But I don't know. I think overall it's a fun game. I don't know that I would buy it at full price, like the $70. I would probably wait for a sale unless you're into that. I mean, Steam's got the 2-hour thing. If you just skip all the story and burn as fast as possible to get a good idea of the game, maybe do that instead. But yeah, I think I might have waited for a sale on this one.
Gotcha.
A little bit more because of some of the stuff that's in it.
Or not in it.
Or not in it, yeah. But I still have a long ways to go. And for now, I think I'll leave it at that. I'm enjoying it, but like I said, I have a cloudy layer of disappointment over that, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to shake.
Probably, yeah. But I don't know. I know we're way over time, so I try to cram as much as possible into that. It's a big game. There's a lot to talk about, but I'm not going to drone on for another 4 hours about it. That's kind of my base opinion so far.
Okay.
The first play of the game. So next bits, I'll probably have a lot more to say, and whether that changes or not, for the better or worse, I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. There's my rough Starfield criticisms.
Okay. It's I don't know. It's pretty. I want to say, like, I mean, despite the fact that it wasn't exactly, there were things that you were expecting to be that aren't there. It still feels kind of like what you were saying is like things I kind of expected for you to say about it, even before you got it. Like this, I'm not surprised, I guess, by your reaction to the game.
Even if it had been there but bad, it would have been better. Like, you can travel between planets, but man, is it janky. The fact that they just, from a gameplay design, decided not to do it is what bothers me.
Yeah, and I'd say the ultimate sin here is that they forced you to acknowledge that No Man's Sky actually did stuff good.
Yeah, which is funny because I think they released their new DLC the same day as Starfield.
Oh, really?
Launched. I think so.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
No.
But, one more quick story, just to give a positive spin as well. Ships land on the planet, and you can see them, and I ran towards one of the ships, ended up being pirates. So I shot them all, and their door's down, so I walked up onto their ship, because ships are bigger, you can actually walk around in them. And as I was in there, somebody panicked, and the ship took off. And so I was in there, the door closed, and I'm like, oh crap, what the hell? And out the window, I see the ship start taking off the planet. And then I'm in space, seeing stuff go by. I'm like, oh shoot, what the hell am I supposed to do?
Wow.
They took off with me in the ship because they heard me shooting. And somebody said, "Look, you got to get the hell out of here because that's happened to me. I've killed the guys, and as I'm running up the ship, the door shuts and they run. But this time I was on the ship. And so I ended up going through the rest of the ship, getting to the pilot's cabinet, kind of opening the door and killing them. And then the ship was mine, and I stole the ship. And that's how I got my second ship. Because I don't know who did it. It's probably a gameplay mechanic because obviously you can't be lost without your ship on the planet.
Yeah.
As I was in the ship, somebody started attacking the ship. And so the ship's going like, and I see shots out the window being fired. And then all of a sudden it's like engine's disabled and we're like free floating in
Wow.
space. I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into?
That actually sounds really cool.
Yes. So like I said, the game has moments and I'm still enjoying it. So I wanted to give another positive spin because I know I was pretty hard on it.
Okay.
But there's things like that have happened. One more thing.
Uh-oh.
Randomly on a planet, because again, I jumped off like into an ocean, not an ocean, but a river, and just went, I'm going that way. I found these people fighting this creature, and I got into the battle, which I wasn't supposed to be in. They were too high level. And once all the people were killed, either me or the creature started attacking me, and it started talking to me in my head. And it was spooky. It was weird. I was fighting it, and then all of a sudden you'd hear like, no, please, I don't want to die. No. And then I'd be fighting it, and you'd hear like, come to the slaughter. The waves of blood are going to flow. And things like that. And then you'd hear like other voices in your head like, this isn't how this was supposed to happen. I just wanted to go home. And
The heck?
I was like, what the hell? And my vision started blurring. And so it had some sort of mind effect on me that was weird.
Wow.
So yeah, sorry. Another couple positive things. I'm done now.
Okay. I'm sure we will hear plenty more about this in
Yes.
the future.
I wanted to kind of give you a 50-50 of the game.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me leave you with that at least.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, any other final thoughts from you on anything?
No. No, there was one thing I wanted to bring up when you were talking about Starfield, just real quick, when you're talking about the navigation system for how you travel between planets and stuff. It's something that like you played Borderlands 3, right? Did you?
As long as I could stand it, yeah.
Did you get to the point in that where you could travel to different planets?
Yes, I did, yeah.
It sounds like the mechanic in that game is very similar to this one, where
You select a planet and it just goes there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except I feel like in Borderlands 3, did it show not showing the ship traveling, but didn't it like show a warp effect and then you were there? Or did it do a loading screen?
I want to say it did a warp effect, and then you actually orbited the planet, and then you like transported down to the planet. But you could see the planet and the solar system outside the ship cockpit view and all that stuff. So they kind of gave you the idea that you were traveling through space, even though you were literally just fast traveling to places.
Right.
Which is I think what you were saying didn't exist.
If they had an illusion, that would have been better.
Yeah, the illusion. There you go. The illusion of doing it. And it's funny that Borderlands did that, but Starfield didn't.
It's a black loading screen with a spinny little wheel in the bottom corner.
Well, just wait for that first DLC. Real loading screens.
That sounds like the name of a mod on Nexus Mods. Real loading screens. Real loading screens 2.0. Jim's loading screens.
Oh my goodness. Jim.
They always have weird titles like that for mods.
Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
Okay. But yeah, I didn't have anything else. That was the only other thing on my mind.
All right. Well, sorry we went long there, but Starfield's pretty massive. Tried to talk as fast as possible, and like he said, I'll have more to touch on next time, for sure. So I already know of things I forgot to say, so we'll leave those for next time. And maybe I'll start writing stuff down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here. You can find me still hanging out in the deep corners of YouTube at Madcap888. And I know you've got a couple places to be found as well.
Yeah, just my Game in the Dweavis channel on YouTube, which, since this is our first video actually getting uploaded to our proper channel, I should have all the links to everything in this video down in the description. Yeah, look out for that. Should be able to find links on there to all of our podcast locations for the audio version. And both of our channels should be listed on there as well. And yeah, so you can find me there. And of course, my channel is also on Rumble if you want to go look at the stuff on there for whatever reason. But yeah, that's it for me.
Perfect. Otherwise, yeah, you can find us YouTube. Just search Bits and Flicks. It pops up. I tried it. It works. So yay us. And that's how you can find us on YouTube, at least.
Yeah, and also our current cadence for doing episodes, the next one should be Flicks. We do these once every 2 weeks,
Pretty
and
much, yeah.
we flip back and forth between Bits and Flicks. That's how we've been doing it for a long time now. For the audio only version, things can always change depending on how things go with this channel, but for the time being, you can expect to find us here, find up newly streamed videos on here at the same time every 2 weeks. But
Pretty
like I
much,
said,
yeah.
bouncing between Bits and Flicks, movies and video games. So
Probably the worst time to do it because we're coming on the holidays. So our schedule's going to get all janked around, I'm sure.
that never happens.
Never happens. Of course
Never.
not.
Never.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this episode of Bits. So thank you, anyone, for listening and or, I guess, watching now. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Yep. Take it easy, everybody.
Later.